but I mean, we bring Merrill on with us now, and Merrill's always going to say great things about Doug Pederson. He's one of my favorite coaches, and I think he's done a marvelous job down there, Merrill, down in Jacksonville. And the big thing is going to be we're in year 4 now with Trevor. The kid's got to win, but if you got one guy that can make that thing happen, it's got to be Doug Pederson.
Well, he is. He's a great coach. There's no question about it. He's a player's coach. He's somebody who puts together a very meticulous practice schedule. He's a great coach with a quarterback. I think they will have success. I'm not as informed about their entire roster as you are, but right now, based on what I saw last year and what I've seen them add, I just can't imagine that Trevor Lawrence won't continue to progress and be the kind of quarterback he was anticipated to be when he was the first player taken in the draft.
You know, Merrill, I did thumbs up, thumbs down, and I'm going to do a thumbs up with you here with the guys in this offseason here. And I think for you, somebody that has to be refreshing to hear, and you're hearing about so many of the young players. Now, again, people will say it's helmets and shorts, but people don't understand 7-on-7 and 9-on-7. You're going to get the same physicality. Look at what happened up in Detroit. They got fined because they were too physical. Now, when you install the run game in the fall here in July, obviously that adds another dynamic, and of course that makes it different. However, the stuff we're hearing about Keely Ringo, I mean, has to be a lot of good things coming to many people's ears because you didn't know what this guy has. And I've been informed he was 20 years old, Merrill. When you drafted him a year ago, here's a kid who could be one of those late bloomers.
He's very good. He's very, very talented. You know, last year they went into the season you didn't know, and it turned out they were deficient in the secondary last year. This year they're going to have a lot of talented players, young and seasoned, fighting for starting spots.
How about Isaiah Rodgers in the comments that you're hearing people say about what he's bringing, where they're playing him potentially a nickel slot? I'm making a prediction here, Merrill, that I think he's going to be one of the starting corners in September against the Packers. That guy has opened so many people's eyes, and Vic really loves the guy. That's got to be, again, another guy that here's a move that Howie Roseman made.
Well, it's another good move, but right now, Dan, I was out there obviously last week at the practice sessions, at the mini camp, and in the OTAs earlier. I don't take a lot away from performances during these drills because there's a lot of mistakes being made because guys are going through the learning process. They're installing things. There are new players. A lot of things are happening. And Isaiah Rodgers has made, he took advantage of some mistakes. But again, it's a different story when you get deep into the training camp days and the serious faces. Not that they're not serious now, but the real serious mission begins. That's when I want to see it. I want to see it not just through the preseason, because goodness knows how many regulars we're going to see in the preseason. We see so few. But once the season begins, once it's off to Brazil and the Green Bay Packers, that's when you're going to learn who's for real and who has several steps to take to become a solid NFL performer.
You know, I will ask you a question, Merrill, and I want you to help me on this because you're around Jalen, you talk to him, and you talk to Nick, and you know that dynamic. And last week in a press conference, he was teed up like T-ball and asked a question about what Nick Sirianni's role was. And a lot of people, IP and everyone, have been reporting on it. Is it just his nature not to go overboard with anybody, positive or negative? Because when asked the question, what's Nick's role? He goes, I don't really know. I don't know. You'll have to ask him. I don't know what his role is here. Now, I paraphrased it a little bit. Is that troublesome? Or for you, is that just, again, the kid's demeanor and how he acts and how he answers every question?
You know, Dan, I have a very good relationship with Jalen. And we do talk, and I find him just a terrific young guy. He's very, very bright. He weighs his words. He's not a talker. He's not the spokesperson for the team. He's more animated around his teammates in the locker room than what you see on the field, but he's careful. I don't take that to mean anything. I really don't. I just think he's not committing anything. He doesn't want to take away from. It's not up to him to define the role of his head coach and the role of his offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Start to talk about what percentage is Kellen Moore's offense and what percentage. I mean, he said something about 95% of the things they were doing were new. Well, sure they were, because when the training camp begins and they start really installing and putting together the offense for the season, then you're going to see other things implemented. And it's probably not going to be 95% or anything like that, but we'll see.
How about this one? To expand on that a little bit, he was asked a question, I think by Franks, when he was like, he goes, well, are you liking the offense? He goes, it's too early to tell right now. And like you said, you were out there. So again, they may be installing all the new stuff. You know, the run game has not been installed. So maybe this is one of the reasons also some of the guys on defense excelled, because these guys are working through. Now, as you know, Merrill, I try to tell people the offensive playbook in the NFL looks like something from NASA. It's here. And the playbook for a defensive guy is down here. There's a lot of stuff to it to retain when you're putting and installing a new offense.
But if you want a quarterback to stand up and say in June, or last week was still May, wow, this is one of the greatest offenses I've ever been around in my life. Or, wow, this offense is going to outscore the Dan Coryell San Diego Chargers. It's May. It's May. And you're not going to get Jalen to be crazy about anything right now. He's going to give you quiet answers. He's going to give you a few words, and he's going to get out of the room and move on to his next order of business. He's an awfully good guy. He is a very smart guy. He's a dedicated guy, a studious guy, tremendous athlete, wonderful quarterback, and a great teammate. That's all I can tell you about Jalen Hurts. But he's not a spokesperson for the offense or for the team.
Do you think it's just media noise then that you're hearing about this so-called friction a little bit between the coach and the quarterback?
Well, I don't want to criticize the media, because I think there are a lot of really hardworking, intelligent, well-informed members of the Eagles media. An awful lot. It's a good, solid media. But their job is to pick apart statements, to create interest, to say, oh, did he say that? And that becomes the headline. It's you look for angles, but it's tough to find legitimate angles in May or June. Let's wait till there are 3 games into the season to see where this team is. However, that's their job, and I'm not dismissing it, but they're looking for what they can jump on that may make people read that story.
What's your takeaway on Vic Fangio's impact so far that he's had on that side of the football, in your opinion?
His impact has got to be very, very important, because he's a guy who knows as much about defense as anybody. But you're talking about a guy who's not going to brag. It's not Buddy Ryan who's coming into a defense and saying you've got a winner in town, or this is about the biggest thing. I remember when Buddy first came in and they said to him, how long is it going to take you to install your 46 defense? And Buddy said, about 5 minutes. You're not going to get that out of Vic. Vic is a low-key guy. He's a very warm guy. The players like him a lot. They feel comfortable with him. He shows them respect. I think he's going to be terrific. And I think Kellen Moore is going to be terrific. I think he's one of the bright young coaches. I think, and I'm not trying to start anything, but I think within a short period of time, he's going to be somebody's head coach.
2 last questions here for you. I got to throw this at you here that, boy, I heard Micaiah Becton say something, and it just resonated. I think he's going to be the greatest free agent sign of any football team.
Really?
Any football team. And I'll tell you why. Phil Simms came on my program and said, he's healthy. He's like Jason Peters, that kind of strength. Okay. Then I had Brian Baldinger on, and Brian Baldinger goes, Let me tell you this, Dan. That guy's moving his feet. And if he buys into things, good night. He was at the press conference and someone asked him, hey, what do you make about playing guard? He goes,
Yeah.
Whatever Jeff Stoutland wanted me to do, I'm going to do. He goes, were you open like that in New York? He goes, they didn't have Jeff Stoutland in New York. And I thought that. And he goes, someone asked him, he goes, yeah, I want this to be a long-term thing. I love the Philly fans. I want to be here. And this is a place that I want. He could have went to 95 places, Merrill, and been a starting offensive lineman anywhere in the league. But he chose to come here and be a backup. The only open is right guard, maybe, and Steen's been killing it. So I'm like, I mean, that had to be really something great to hear. A guy wanted to play in Philly, not just for the Eagles, but he wanted to play for Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. There's no doubt about his talents, but and I'm not being negative on Beckman because I think he is a great physical specimen. But again, if I may quote James David Ryan, durability is as important as ability, and that is the one thing so far that he hasn't been as durable. Is that unfair?
No. It's part of the evaluation when you're talking about a player. If he's not available and he's in the tub, I don't care what kind of potential you have, because you and I know this, right, Merrill? Potential is a word that's basically code for he hasn't done it.
He hasn't done it yet.
That's right. Finally, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts out of this conversation here, and I'm going to tell you who my prediction is to be the most valuable player offensively this year. And I'd be curious to hear yours here just off the top. It's only June 11th. Somebody who you think might be the star on that offense this coming year in 24. Not named Jalen.
Well, I think you want me to say Saquon Barkley.
Okay. Go ahead. No, it's somebody else.
I think he's going to be very, very good. I think he's going to be a big factor. If you want me to tell you who it is, it's one of the people. A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. They are both absolutely out of this world. Both of them. They're great. One of those two.
Here's my guy. I think he's going to be Cam Jurgens. And I think he is going to take over for a man who's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think the skill set wise is not going to be as drastic as people think that drop off is going to be. The only thing is going to be the cerebral part of it, because obviously you got a guy who's a 12, 13-year veteran who knows blitzes, who knows how to set fronts. That's still going to be a learning curve. But when I hear Jeff Stoutland say, hey, I kind of question whether or not he's going to be a guard. He was an alternate Pro Bowler. Now he's going over to center. He goes, that guy's a center. That guy looks like a center. To me, your two positions are the most important positions to a quarterback, are left tackle and center. If that guy plays anything near Jason Kelce's ability of a year ago, the Philadelphia Eagles have the best offensive line in pro football.
Oh, they do.
And it's going to come down to that, in my opinion, on what that guy does on blitz pickup, because the Eagles struggled a little bit on blitzing, especially with Jalen in the middle there at the end of the season. If he's in that room, I really like what Jeff Stoutland says about Cam Jurgens.
Well, just remember one thing. 2 years ago when they picked him, it was Howie, it was the scouting department, it was the coaching staff, and it was Jason Kelce who watched the tape, who sat down and practically handpicked his successor. Jason weighed in heavily on that, and he agrees.
Boy, I just, when you're hearing Jason Kelce and Jeff Stoutland talking about your replacement like that, usually you're like this, as you know, Merrill, these guys are meat. You know, until you prove it, you're meat in the building when it comes to a 53-man roster. When you're hearing guys make those comments, and you got Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, and I mean, you got Lane Johnson on that team, and those guys are all going, this guy's insane great. I think that's really great. A lot of good things to look forward to. Are you looking forward to Brazil?
Who knows what to expect?
I hear they got some pretty good golf courses down there, though.
I don't think we'll leave the hotel.
At least not wearing green. Hey, and by the way, only thing I can tell you is I really got to hand it to the NFL. they come out with this, you can't wear green. One of the teams is named the Green Bay Packers, and the Eagles and the Packers both have green in their uniforms. Pretty smart work there. I mean, you got to always hand it to the NFL, being oblivious to things that don't matter.
Well, this is a great organization that does a lot of things for a lot of people, and they just had a wonderful golf tournament at Merrill yesterday to raise money for autism, which is their biggest charity. And it was just absolutely wonderful. But I knew that none of us were going to win when one of the guests was Graham McDowell.
Wow, is he good? Holy cow. I'm always jealous when I hear it, because I heard Nicholas the other day at Memorial talking about Marion, and I'm going, yeah, there's old Merrill Reese out there shooting his age.
But
no, I was going to be more 66.
I'll put up a Bill Berge number.
Absolutely. Merrill, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Dan. Have a great day.
You bet. The legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, our friend, Merrill Reese. Yes, sir. Good stuff there, man. Guys, hit the like button. All right, do me a favor here. Xander, where are we in the like total? We were at 154 with the last ask. We are at 177. All right, guys, we are 23 away. Need your help. Let's make a sprint run. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.